Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So, today I am going to focus on part two of my One Sheet Wonders series. And if you haven't seen part one, you can find the link in the description with this video. But on Wednesday, I shared 7 card ideas with you featuring the Favored Flowers Designer Series paper. And today I'm going to share the other 7. So it's a total of 14 cards that you can actually create from one sheet of designer paper. So I happen to use the designer paper that has all the different flowers in it. So I cut out all the flowers and I created 14 cards just from that one sheet. So in this pack of paper, there's 2 sheets of flowers. So you could actually make double the amount of cards that I'm going to share with you today. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. So these are the cards we're going to focus on today. So it has the Calypso Coral and the Petal Pink combination. On Wednesday, I shared the cards that had the purple flowers. So I'll bring those back today and just kind of show those to you. But we're going to focus on creating these. So I'm going to actually move some of this stuff out of the way here because I'm only going to show you 3. If you watched my video the other day, I shared a tutorial for um, the purple flowers. So a lot of the layouts that I'm going to use today are very similar, or the same, I should say, as the purple flowers. There's just a couple that are different. So good morning, everyone. So this is the first card we're going to make, but I'm going to show you just a little piece of the designer paper here so that you guys can kind of get an idea of where I got all these flowers from. So this is the just a little section of the 12 by 12 inch piece of the Favored Flowers Designer Series paper. So this is it's a celebration item. So that means it's free with a $50 purchase during celebration. And I'm using the Fragrant Flowers stamp set. So you'll notice that the image here in the designer paper is the exact same image that's in the stamp set. Both of these images, these 2 images, the small one and this large one. So the cool thing about this paper is that the dies in this particular set. There's several dies in this set. But these 2 dies in particular are the ones that I used to cut out all the flowers on the designer paper. So this one fits the little floral very nicely. And then, of course, this one fits the big one. So I took one sheet of that designer paper and I took these dies and I cut out all these flowers so that I could use them to make my cards. So so the die set definitely is worth getting because then you can cut out all these flowers. Not to mention, of course, you can cut out all the images that you stamp with the stamp set. So that's where I got the flowers from. Now, when I made these cards, there are actually 3 large florals like this. So you can make, 3 cards with the large floral. And then there's several small flowers. I think there's 4 of each color, I believe. So there's 3 large pink and calypso florals, and then there's 3 large purple ones. And then there's some um, flowers that are kind of on the side of the paper, so you don't get the full floral. But I went ahead and I used this die just to cut out all those florals that are on the side of the designer paper. And I used those, what I like to call edge flowers. I used those edge flowers to create a variety of cards too. So make sure that you cut out all these florals that are on the side of the paper, and of course, the full florals that are in the center of the paper. Because I used every single floral on this sheet to create the 14 cards. All right, you guys. So let me show you the first card. So this is the first card I'll show you how to make. And actually, this is probably one of my favorites using this pink and calypso combination. Because what I did here is I used the calypso in the background, the paper, And then I used the petal pink in the background. And you'll notice that the floral, they're opposites. So I have the petal pink with the calypso and the calypso with the petal pink. So it was kind of a fun little card and a nice way to accent the flowers. All right, so let me show you how I made this. So the first thing I did is just cut two pieces of designer paper. So I'm using other paper from that Favored Flowers Designer Series paper pack. So besides cutting out all the flowers, there's other, pattern paper. On one side, there's some other flowers. And then on this side, there's more the geometric type patterns. So these pieces are 2 by 5.5. So they're 2 inches wide and they're 5.5 inches long. And so basically I just adhered them to a evening evergreen cardstock base. So those are the colors that are in this designer paper and in the flower. So that's why I use them um, for the card base. That's why I'm using the evening evergreen for the card base. Let's make sure I got enough room on there. So you just adhere one to each side. And you can use this layout with any supplies you have on hand. It's a fun little layout. So if you have some different colors that you'd like to put together, this is a great layout for that. So we'll add those two and just kind of create our background. And then I just took this large floral, which I cut from that designer paper, and I just added some dimensionals to it. And we're just going to pop it up on the card. That's how easy this first card is. And I think, I've heard from some of you during my last video that you weren't really too keen on this paper pack because it seemed a little busy, which I do think some of the patterns are a little busy, but hopefully when I get done showing you some of these cards today, you'll have a different thought about this paper. So good morning, everybody. I know I'm chatting away. I'm not even saying good morning. Then the next thing I did is I just used one of the greetings from the set. And I did a little bit of heat embossing on some Calypso Coral cardstock. And then I cut this uh, friend greeting out with one of the dies in the set. And I'm just going to pop it up right on top of the flower. And then you can embellish it with whatever you want. I just used a little bit of black twine. So this twine comes in that pack. And I just added a little bit of black twine down on the bottom and then just kind of trimmed this up a little bit. Hopefully my scissors doesn't seem to want to work today. And then you can add some embellishments, some other embellishments and things. I didn't do anything on the inside. I didn't add any paper. But you can also add some paper and even some of the leftover, like these little edge flowers. There's some really tiny flowers on the edge. You can use those to decorate the inside of your card. So that's the first one, a pretty easy card. The second one that I want to share is this one, and I used the Split Textures die. I think it's called Split Card Textures. Here it is. So there's two dies in this particular set, and I used this die, and it works perfect on a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of cardstock. So let me show you. So basically I just took a piece of white cardstock and I just laid this die on the side of the white cardstock. And then I ran it through the embossing machine and I got this really fun look. So this is just a 4 by 5.25 inch piece. Let's get this out of the way here. And then I just took some of the designer paper and just kind of cut the same size, or you can cut it a little bit shorter and just put that behind there. So we'll start with that. I thought it was kind of a nice way to, just add some of the designer paper behind this little opening from the die. You can just add regular cardstock too. You don't have to add designer paper. And I'll show you that with the purple one that I created, because I created a very similar card using the purple flowers. So let's do this. And then I have my evening evergreen card base. Here's all the flowers on the back side of this pink piece. So I just added this right to my card front. And then what I did is I took those flowers that were on the edge of the paper. So I told you we can cut these out that are on the edge. So these have a nice straight edge on them and they fit perfectly. Like this particular flower fits perfectly down on the bottom here. The only thing I did is I just kind of cut off this little extra piece here. We don't need that on there. And then we can just adhere these flowers. So I have 2 flowers that I cut off the edge of the paper because these are not full flowers. But even though they're not full flowers, you can still use these flowers to create some really beautiful cards. So I'm just going to pop this one up on the bottom first. As soon as I get the dimensionals off here. So we'll pop this one up down in the corner and you just kind of line up the edges with, these are the edges from the edge of the designer paper. So you just line up the edge here with the side and the edge here with the bottom. And it creates a really nice accent on your card. And then this other little piece, I kind of felt like it needed something up at the top. So this other little piece, I simply added at the top. Kind of off to the side. And that's it. And then the other thing I did is just add my little greeting. So you can stamp a greeting on here if you want. But I did use one of the labels from the die set to create just kind of a little focal point here. And I just cut a 1 3/4 by 1 1/4 inch piece of petal pink. So that's going to just go behind this greeting. I can get my glue to work. So I just kind of accented this a little bit so I didn't have so I didn't have white on white. Now I used the other thing I want to tell you is I used the label die that is in this particular set. So it's a very large die because it cuts out 2 greetings. It cuts out the thanks, and then it also will cut out the hello. But you'll notice that it's very large for the hello. So it's obviously a lot bigger than the thanks. So in my video that I did on Wednesday, I show you how to shorten this to create, a shorter label. So definitely check that out. And I linked to that video and everything in the description with this video so that you could see that. So I'm going to just pop this up on the card. All right, so here is the hello. So we'll put that towards the top. And then I did a little heat embossing, same type of greeting I used on the last card, the little friend. And then I used one of the dies from the set to cut this out as well. And then you can just add some embellishments. If I can grab my tool. So this is where I'm getting these embellishments from. I forget the name of these embellishments. I should write this stuff down, shouldn't I? So this one's going to go here. And then let's add it over here. Okay. So that's the second card. So that's how easy that one is. Isn't that beautiful? And I think I put something on the inside here. Yeah. So here's where I used an extra cutoff on the inside of the card. Just added some designer paper and then used one of those cutoffs from the edge of the DSP to decorate the inside of the card. So that is the second card. Let's see. And then the third card is this one. So this one has some very dark paper behind it. So I wanted to just kind of break up some of that dark paper, and add my little florals and add other things that just kind of break up the paper a little bit. So I have two pieces. I have a piece of designer paper and a piece of cardstock here. So the designer paper is 3 by 5.5. And it's got these pretty purple flowers on the back. And then my cardstock is 3.5 by 5.5. So it's just evening evergreen cardstock. And I basically just ran this right down the center of the card front. And this time I'm using white for my card base. And then I wanted to just kind of break up, like I said, kind of break up this design because it's a pretty bold design. So I used a 1 3/4 by 3-inch piece of white cardstock, and I just embossed it with the Kane 3D embossing folder. I don't know if you can see that. And then I just took a piece of vellum and cut it out with one of the Stylish Shapes dies. So this is about 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So the first thing I did is just adhered this white piece right across the center. And then the vellum went over the top just to kind of mute it a little bit. So that went over the top. And then again, I did some embossing on some Calypso Coral cardstock. And then this little piece of Evening Evergreen is 1 3/4 by 1 1/4 again. So this is just going to go behind my greeting. So I like to add just little pieces behind the greeting just to kind of break it up a little bit and add a little bit more color. So I'll put that on there. And I'm going to add some dimensionals on the back here. So this just goes right in the center. I think I got it centered. And then I took the smaller flowers that were in that designer paper and then just used them to embellish this card. So we can tuck, a little floral up here and tuck another one down below. So we'll add those little flowers. And then we'll add our little friend greeting. This time I stamped it in Evening Evergreen instead of doing embossing. We'll add that. And then I just have a little 1/4 inch wide by 3-inch piece of petal pink. I just kind of felt like it needed just a little bit more color to break up that dark green in the background. So that's basically how I created the design. And then you can add some twine and other things to the card. And here's a great way to use some of the busy pattern that is in this paper pack. Just add it to the inside of your card to decorate the inside. All right, so those are the 3 cards that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to bring these back because I want you to see. I'm going to give me just a second here to separate these because I want you to see the difference, the different styles, I guess. And I'm going to bring the purple ones back too. So, all right, so these are the 3 cards that I created with the Calypso in pink. So you'll see that all 3 of these have the large floral on it, okay? And so these are the Calypso. And with this designer series paper, you can also create 3 cards with the purple. So these are the purple ones. And you can see these 2 cards are exactly the same as far as design. You know, the layout is exactly the same. And then I have different layouts for these other ones. So so you can get 3 purple ones and you can get 3 Calypso in pink. So I really like that. So this is just from one sheet of designer paper. So let's put these to the side. So that's the large one. Actually, let's move these over. And then for the edge, those little flowers that are on the edge, this is what I created with the Calypso in pink. And then here's what I created with the purple. So actually, I'll see if I can get these together here. Oops, got scraps laying all over the place. And then here's what I created with the purple. So I used the same split card texture die. I, I just switched out the colors, obviously for the purple one. This just has plain cardstock behind it, whereas this one has designer series paper. But the concept is the same. I used all those flowers that were on the edge of the paper to create these 4 cards. So there's enough flowers on one sheet of paper for you to be able to create 4 cards, 2 in purple and 2 in the Calypso. So pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to put, let's see, I got to organize these. Hold on a second. So there we go. So those are the Calypso. And then the last 2 card ideas here feature that small floral from the designer paper that you can cut out. So I have 2 in the Calypso. And then I have 2 in the purple. So you get a total of 4 in each color, 4 of these small florals in each color when you cut out the designer paper. All right, so you basically, I'm going to put these all out for you, hopefully, so you can see them. So those are the small florals. And then these are the edge, the ones I cut from the edge. And then these are the large florals. So I can't fit them all on the screen, but you get the idea. So you get 6 cards using the large floral. You get 4 cards using the cutoff florals, and then you get 4 cards using the small florals. So you get a total of 14 cards. So I thought it was pretty fun to just kind of cut apart the designer series paper and just play around with some different card ideas to use up those flowers. So so actually there's, like I said, there's 2 sheets of that designer paper in that pack. So you can create 28 cards using these layouts and those florals. So I hope you guys enjoyed these, this kind of short one sheet wonder series. I really had a lot of fun with this set. Um, and I think that I just love when Stampin' Up! Coordinates their die set with the stamp set and with their designer paper. So that just prevents us, from having to do a lot of fussy cutting to cut out images to use on our cards. So I will get the Calypso Coral cards out on my blog. So you'll get all the measurements. If you missed the video, you can certainly rewatch this video because it will be taped. So you'll be able to rewatch it. But I'll also get these out on my blog along with the measurements for the cards that are not included in my tutorial. So I did put together a tutorial with 7 cards featuring the purple cards. So a lot of the layouts that I shared today are the same as the purple ones. So feel free to download that tutorial. You can find the link in the description with this video, along with the link to the purple floral cards. So, all right, you guys. So that's all I had for you today. That was a lot. So feel free to check out both part 1 and part 2 so that you can get all 14 card ideas. So I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and a great week, great rest of your week. And I will see you guys again next Sunday. So have a great week, everyone. Take care.